welcome to In the Know, a program that helps you to stay well informed. And today we will be talking with Norfolk County Sheriff Patrick McDermott. This is a program that airs throughout Norfolk County, and we certainly welcome the Sheriff's attendance here today. Sheriff, this is something that we've been doing on, I guess, a monthly basis, kind of updates regarding the Sheriff's office.
That's been the goal, and I really want to make sure there's so many activities, so many things we have going on at the Sheriff's office, both inside the facility as well as out in the community, that there's just so much news to get out, and QATV and local cable access across the county gives us that forum to get out. So it's great to be here in person, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
We've been playing the Zoom game for a while,
Right.
both in the campaign and then since I've been sheriff. So it's great to be in studio once again.
I totally agree. And we should let folks know that we are adhering to COVID-19 guidelines in the sense that this table is where we are seated is 6 feet apart. So it's still important because you and I were talking about still COVID is a real thing. People are still getting infected, even though, of course, a lot more people have received the vaccine.
Yeah, and as of this week, more people, younger folks, are eligible to get the vaccine. We're going to get to a point, hopefully. I think that the governor has been very aggressive in trying to procure as many vaccines as possible for the residents of the Commonwealth. And in the Sheriff's Office, we've been robust in terms of making sure that our inmates have access to the vaccination. We actually have a little bit of a surplus now, not much, but we're starting to share that with other facilities just to make sure that we're prepared. Our staff has been cooperative in getting vaccinations where they want it. And we've actually assisted in several different vaccination clinics, helping Quincy Housing Authority with their distribution, as well as Manic Community Health Center. And I got to give a kudos to District Attorney Morrissey, who has spearheaded that effort and has been volunteering a lot, and he allowed us the opportunity to also participate a few weeks ago. So the effort is going well, and I think that hopefully by this summer we're going to see a little bit more relief and get to that point where we can officially declare herd immunity statures and get people back to work, back to school, back to enjoying each other. So.
You mentioned summer, and that brings me to the summer programs for youth. Summertime's a big time for youth and the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, we have. We're very excited because I've inherited a great system. We have a great staff down at our Braintree Youth Leadership Academy, and Sheriff Bellotti put together this leadership academy years ago, and it is the most coveted spot for any parent to make sure they secure a position for their middle schooler. And it's a program that we run throughout the summer. It's a week-long program, several series of them, and it's a focus on leadership, team building, good decision making, but it's all spun into a lot of fun. Down at our Braintree campus, we have a ropes course, so there's a little physical fitness involved as well. We sold out the camp in 7 minutes when it went online.
7 minutes.
7 minutes, and those numbers we had to comply when we first launched the sign up. We were under some strict guidelines in terms, so we're not at full capacity under normal circumstances, but then we, in consultation with the Department of Public Health and other and our own physicians and experts, we were actually able to get a lot of people off the wait list. We had at one point, I think, 280 kids on the wait list, and hopefully we've pared that down a little bit more. We want to make sure that every kid in Norfolk County has an opportunity to take advantage of a program like this, and I've had a chance to study a little bit of the curriculum. I've attended the camp with both of my kids in the past. I haven't physically attended, but I've been there to observe. I didn't swung on a rope or anything.
One big kid.
Yeah, you don't want to be me climbing up on the ropes courses anytime soon, but I'll observe from the ground. But the staff and what they do down there is it's a vital thing, and especially under these circumstances, we're hopefully coming out of the COVID situation. Kids need an opportunity to recreate, to actually be amongst their peers. And this is going to be one of those opportunities that the kids are going to have this summer in Braintree, and it'll be great. We're hoping that in the years come we can open the camp up even more and even expand it. We have a little an experimental opportunity down in Franklin.
Yeah, talk about that.
So we wanted, as I campaigned last year, Norfolk County is a very geographically diverse county. So we go from down in Avon and up through Weymouth and Quincy, down to Cohasset. But we also go up to Brookline, over to Wellesley, Needham, and down Route 1, Route 95, all the way down to Bellingham and Plainville and Franklin. And so when I campaigned, I promised that I would try to bring as much of the services down county as is afforded up here. A lot of we tend to be a little bit heavy on the Quincy, Weymouth, Braintree scene, especially. We have our campus in Braintree, we have our civil process division in Quincy. And that youth leadership camp, it's tough for a parent from Foxborough or from Walpole or Bellingham to drive their kid all the way up to Braintree every day. They've done it because they know the value that the program provides. But we thought it was unfair. And so the prior administration had started some discussions about expanding the camp down into another part of the county, and we followed through on that. And this year we are branching out. We have a partnership with Dean College down in Franklin, and at the end of August we have a 1-week pilot program. So it's very limited. We just wanted to test it out. They don't have a full ropes course down there like we have in Braintree, but we're partnering up, I think, with a ropes course in Canton. So there'll be a day trip to actually use the leadership skills that we're teaching in the program. And but we're hoping to expand that leadership camp will be a permanent fixture in Down County, that it'll be just as robust as the one in Braintree. And because the message is so good about peer leadership, making right decisions, team building, and kids, you can't get enough of that. And that's the message we want to send. So that youth camp we'll be opening up that sign up. If anybody is watching this that is from Down County, we'll be opening up that registration shortly. And I'm sure that with the Braintree site, 7 minutes we shut down, so this will be probably just as fast.
We do have some information on screen, norfolksheriff.com/youth.
Yes, and that'll be the pretty predominant site that'll give all the information on the youth leadership camp, as well as all the other programming that we're developing as we go on. And that's as we look to expand our youth outreach and our programming, that site is going to be central. The central hub for all the information that we have.
Talk about something called YES. That is Youth Empowering Seniors.
Yes. Kids. That is a unique bond when you see, and it's typically like the grandparent-grandchild relationship. I mean, that bond is so special. And when I've seen it with my own kids when they volunteered or gone into a senior facility. My daughter has sung at some senior facilities. I've had my son go in as well when they were younger. And the faces of those seniors light up when they see that youthful, invigorating experience. So what we want to do is we want to partner up our youth with our seniors, on a variety of topics. The one thing that came up was actually partnering them up on simple things, is how to use technology. Show the senior how to do some. We might need it. We're not quite seniors yet. I'm an AARP member already, but still. But yeah, you need some help. I've asked my daughter and my son many a time on, how do I get it into airplane mode? Or how do I open up an app or close an app. Right. So those little things. We
can do it, but it takes us
forever.
A while.
It takes us forever. So,
with their assistance, we get there faster.
Yeah. And so, and that's the first step on that. But it's even giving an opportunity to, whether it's running errands. I mean, the old days of, when I was a kid, being able, the next door neighbor, I had Mrs. McPherson, who was, a senior, but just to be able to run down, if I was going down the store for my parents, I'd stop over, go see Mrs. McPherson next door, see if she needs anything down at the store. During the winter time, shoveling snow was a typical thing, and you never did it for a fee, Ms. McPherson was always very generous, though, always gave me $1 or $2 as a tip. But we want to encourage youth to volunteer with our seniors, and whether it's maybe doing errands or helping with yard work or whatever the case may be. It's kind of like having a partnership between the two, and it works both ways. You know, there's so much that the youth can provide for the seniors, but the wisdom and the love that the senior can also provide for that youth. It's going to be a great program, and I think that partnership will work quite well.
And I think you're also exploring partnerships with nonprofits.
Correct. Yeah, so we have one of the things that my daughter and my son both have to do is their community service projects every year. And so it kind of inspired me to say, all right, we need to, and it's always last minute with the kids, you know, I need to get my 30 hours done. So I want to have a robust program with all of our nonprofits who are in need of having volunteers come in. And we want to identify them throughout the county as to how, what the needs are, and be able to put those up on our website and say, you know, whether it's Interfaith Social Services here in Quincy, Father Bill's, you know, Salvation Army, all kinds of things that have opportunities for kids to engage with a nonprofit. And you know, I learned at a young age the value of community service. My dad was very active in the Knights of Columbus. My mother was very active in our parish at St. Anne's. So there was always things to do, whether it was a Christmas bazaar or our Tootsie Roll drive for special needs. So I grew up in a household that encouraged that. And I think that we need to do more to encourage kids. I mean, kids are really busy too. I mean, pre-COVID, kids were running 1,000 miles an hour to soccer games and hockey games and, you know, theater programs. You know, but we need to pause every now and then and discuss what the values are of community service and giving back. And our nonprofits are doing such a great job, especially under the pandemic, and they have so much to offer. And I think we have that youth force out there that's ready to participate. And there's so many kids doing so many great things already. They do it on their own, whether it's clothing drives or food drives, or you know, just we want to be able to kind of jump on that bandwagon and organize it in a fashion that more kids can take advantage of, and be a central repository when people, as we did, scrambling looking for things for our kids to be able to participate in. We could be the central repository for all that information.
You and I were talking prior to the show's start about COVID-19, about the pandemic, and about mental health, and how that's played a part, obviously a big part, in how, children as well as adults have been coping in recent times.
Yes, I've seen it in my own family. I've seen it with both of my kids. You know, my daughter's been her whole senior year was at home. My son, 1 year on, 1 week on, 1 week off. But the interaction with their peers has obviously been diminished. You know, there's a lot more online cell phone, iPad uses, computer uses. So kids have been sheltered for a long time, and that affects their mental well-being, no question about it. And so we've, in the Sheriff's Office, we want to once again participate and be a leader on this issue. We're expanding or reconstituting what had been a juvenile task force to focus on not just substance abuse issues, because that's always a predominant issue. I mean, it goes back to the days of DARE and, you know, Just Say No back in the 80s with Nancy Reagan. And we want to talk about substance abuse issues, but we want to also expand it into the mental health area. And certainly coming out of COVID-19, we want to make sure that we address the issues of mental health, what isolation, what effect that's had on the kids, how resilient are they? You know, what are we going to offer them come the fall when schools fully reopen again? Certainly we want to address other things, you know, like issues of racism. We want to discuss that issue. We want to discuss issues of leadership. We want to also address the issue of bullying. There's a whole host of problems and especially under the pandemic when they're online, bullying within the cyberspace field, you know, and there's sadly, there's sad evidence of, you know, of teen suicide when it comes to bullying that's done on Instagram or TikTok. And so that stuff has to be addressed. And I think there's a lot of adults, including yours truly, that find it difficult to uncover where the problems are and the solutions. So we want to come up with that task force, which will begin to address those issues and give parents some resources to how to address your child, your teen, on mental health issues as well as those substance abuse issues. And we want to partner with the schools. Part of this task force that we're coming in is, we're reaching out to our schools, we're reaching out to our school committee people, and we want to really have a robust task force that's going to address these issues. So we're going to start that up hopefully in the next month or so, reach out to the members of the prior task force, the juvenile task force, and kind of reintroduce them to this new concept as how we want to move forward on it. But I think it's going to be a great thing. We're going to hopefully come up with some great recommendations that we can go then out with our school resource officers in the sheriff's office into our schools come the fall, work with the teachers, work with the parent-teacher organizations, the administrators, and the kids to get those strategies in place.
You mentioned hate, and you were in the city of Quincy recently for a rally that was held regarding hatred expressed or aimed at Asian Americans.
Yeah, it was a real moving experience for me. Certainly, growing up in Quincy, I watched as our city changed ethnically. We became a very welcoming community, and yet behind the scenes, not just in Quincy but other places, there was that hidden discrimination and racism that was going on, and certainly it's risen to the level of violence against Asian and Pacific Islander folks that nobody recognized. And I think finally, and it's a cultural issue, and the more I've talked to my friends in Quincy Asian Resources and the various programs that address Asian, culturally, that it was kind of in the closet, a lot of that stuff, and violence against Asians was not well reported and well documented. And I think that the last year, just with what's gone on with George Floyd and systemic racism has come up, our friends in the Asian community have become more vocal, which I think is a good thing. And that day on the Hancock Adams Common was a great step towards some healing and some tough conversations that have to be made. And I said during my campaign for sheriff that I want to be somebody that's going to lead on this issue. I don't have all the answers, but I think that the first step is actually being there, showing up, listening, and to listen to these stories of these individuals who have gone through violent encounters with people based upon and being yelled at and being called ethnic slurs is a problem. And predominant among that, that stood out to me was our own state representative, Tacky Chan, who gave a very powerful speech. And Tacky is a man of integrity. He's confident. He's strong, but you could see in his eyes the pain that he represented for that community. And he's a kid who went to BC High, grew up in Quincy, and it's not just immigrants that have come recently. It's folks that are among us, that live among us. So we need to lead on this issue in the sheriff's office to be anti-hate.
Well, just not so long ago, the Quincy City Council held a public hearing, and quite a few people spoke, and it was heartbreaking to hear what they have experienced. Yeah, I mean,
there's been issues of violence. There was even that it's not local here, but the issue in New York. And people turned a blind eye. They saw a woman get assaulted, and they basically turned around and didn't do anything about it. And we've got to, if you see something, you got to report it. You got to help in. And the stories that I've heard, not just on the day of the rally, but that city council meeting, and I've been on a couple of other. Nina Liang had an online Zoom. She hosted at one point. So many stories are coming out, and I'm glad they're coming out because I think individuals are now feeling a little bit more confident to come out to reach out to the agencies that assist in this. But hopefully law enforcement, and I think that law enforcement has to be more resilient, and really has to realize, especially after the verdict on the Floyd case that came out, law enforcement needs to partner up as they have in the past. And Quincy has done a great job. I think all of the departments around Norfolk County have done a great job. I've had a chance to meet with all the chiefs, and we get it in terms of making sure that our officers are trained appropriately, that de-escalation is the number one way that we can partner up, but we need to be able to listen a lot more. And I just addressed our cadets this morning, a brand new class of 18 new cadets who are coming on board as to be new corrections officers, and we're teaching them about their behavior and how they manage our inmate population at the jail. It's about communication. It's not about militaristic mentalities about how care and custody works in the jail system anymore, but it's about communicating with these individuals, figuring out what their situations are and how to make their life, when they get into re-entry components, a better way. And I also said it's their behavior outside, because the sheriff's office has a lot of opportunity to work with communities outside of the jail, and they are a representative of law enforcement and public safety, and we want to make sure that we address all those issues that make people fear living in their community. We want to make sure that everybody feels safe, and that's the number one role that I see myself serving as the sheriff.
I know you were in Avon recently, providing assistance, public safety assistance, and that's you kind of you make the rounds around the county, the various communities.
We make the rounds quite a bit, and it depends on the issues that are needed. I mean, the sheriff's office, we've made a point that we want to serve as a public safety resource for every community in Norfolk County, and that's we have a lot of whether it's a public safety issue relative to we did a search and rescue issue in Braintree a few weeks ago. We certainly have our online relative to crowd control and civil unrest, if in fact it happens. But we make sure that our services are available. Our K-9 operation is in full swing. We're expanding that. We're hoping to get out to more communities to help out with whether it's search and rescue issues or drug issues. But that's the role of the sheriff's office when we bring our resources to a smaller town like Avon, to towns like Millis and Bellingham, smaller departments that can't, the municipal budget can't afford a lot of the bells and whistles that we can bring to the small town.
Well, you were in Millis doing some beautification. Some work crews were working on the town hall and I believe the cemetery.
So one of the greatest resources that we have available, and as an inmate progresses through the system at the Norfolk County House of Correction, we get into a position where they're in a pre-release area where they're getting ready to go back out officially to be back as a member of the community. And one of the best things that we can do is give these pre-release inmates opportunities to go out and serve. And so we have a smaller work crew than we've had in the past because our inmate count is low. So we have about 12 to 15 inmates that are getting ready to go back into the community. So we actually bring them out with our community volunteer crews, and we bring them out to various projects. And whether it's right now, we're in the springtime, so beautification projects are paramount. So we had a team out in Millis cleaning up. They're getting ready for I think a Millis Beautification Day, I think this weekend. We've had teams in Dedham cleaning up Route 1. We've been at the Needham Housing Authority cleaning up there. In fact, renovating some units. Some of our crew goes out and paints and rehabs municipal buildings and things of that nature. And we're hoping to have a big participation in the upcoming Quincy Cleaner Greener program coming up in a couple of weeks. So this is a resource, and the inmates love it. The inmates go out and they're always, it's an opportunity to get out of the facility, and what they get back from the community is a grateful community. Thanks. There's letters that come in. I always make sure I share it with the inmates. I make my walking route around the facility every day, and I usually stop over to the alternative center next door to the House of Correction, and there's always 2 or 3 of the guys that are out there, and I talk with them. That's the one thing they always give me great feedback on. Is, oh, it's great to get finally out back into the community. So we want to keep that program going.
I know you were in Weymouth and had a tour with the chief of the fire department there not too long ago as well. And also there was a food drive that you participated in. I believe it was run by the Norfolk County Central Labor Council. And that was, that donation site was Central?
So we had it. Yeah, we had Central Middle School here in Quincy. They had it down at the DPW in Weymouth, and I think this Saturday is going to be they're doing an event in Braintree. So we've partnered up with the Norfolk Central Labor Council, and they work with the United Way, and they're doing this ongoing food drive. When this pandemic hit, people stepped up big to our food pantries because there was a big need at the very beginning when stores were shutting down and limited supplies. So,
Absolutely.
and people were losing their job, and so people relied heavily on our local nonprofits, our food pantries. So many organizations stepped up. One of the things that we want to do in the Norfolk County Sheriff's Office is make sure that those food pantries aren't forgotten. And thanks to the help of labor stepping up, they're going to continue these ongoing food drives because the issue is not going to go away anytime soon. When I've talked to these food pantry directors, they know the need that's going to come. And, we haven't seen, what's going to happen with foreclosures, evictions. People still are going to be in an economic uncertainty. We need to make sure that there's a safety net in place. So we're going to continue to partnering up with those agencies, those food drives. And our organization is going to be putting together our own volunteer corps that's going to partner up with the nonprofits. We're coming up with a theme right now. I think it's going to be the Norfolk Sheriff's Office CARES program, and that's soon to be in place. That's going to find out what the needs are around the community and find out where we can help fill. Because we have a great resource. We have all our retired employees, our current employees, as well as folks that want to find a way to serve, and we want to give them the opportunity.
Prior to ending this particular program, we only have a couple minutes. I do want folks to be made aware again of the programs for seniors.
Yeah, our senior program, fantastic. We're getting back out, at least on Zoom, to the councils on aging. We've been speaking with those groups. I'm hoping that by the summer, we might actually actively go out and actually do some cookouts that we can share. So we're updating all of our resource pamphlets that we have available. Clearly, the number one resource is the Are You OK program. And that allows seniors to get a daily check-in, automated phone call from our office, and we check in with the senior. If we don't get an automated response back, we initiate a call. If we still have had difficulty getting in touch with the senior, we go with first responder and emergency response. As I've said in prior, we've had 3 saves this year already. We want more people to participate in the Are You OK program. It's a voluntary program.
Absolutely
it's
free.
Absolutely free. Doesn't cost anything. It can be a permanent thing. You can come and go on the program as you see fit. And we want every resident that feels, whether it's somebody that lives alone, doesn't have family, is to contact the sheriff's office, and we can sign people up on that program. So I know that we have the phone number. I don't know if we have it signed up, but it's 1-866-900-7865, and that's the Are You OK program. Deputy Sheriff Cheryl Bambury is in charge of that. So that's a great program. We're also rebranding and reprinting our File for Life program, which is also in partnership with our Yellow Dot initiative. So a File for Life is a little file card that has all your medical information, your emergency contact information. We encourage people, and this should be everybody, not just seniors. Everybody should take advantage of that, is to put that information on your refrigerator. I just spoke with Weymouth firefighter. I was down in Holbrook the other day, and we're getting the message. I addressed the Norfolk County Chiefs. We're going to get this program back out and make sure everybody's aware of it, so that you'll look for that File for Life when you have the first responders come into a house, or if there's a yellow dot on the vehicle. If somebody's in a medical emergency in their automobile, it indicates to first responders that there's a File for Life in the glove compartment. And that saves lives. Bottom line is time is everything in medical emergencies. And if our first responders have the opportunity to get what the medical situation of that individual, what medications they might be on, that in fact will save lives. So all those programs are getting rebranded. And we're hopefully going to be getting back out into the community to market these strategies to people and get more people involved.
Well, very good. We are at the end of the half hour. I want to thank you for joining me here today and welcome you back in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.